Well, the good news is it's still scared of me. I would be pretty nervous around something that big. Wow. Alright, good morning, internet peeps. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning on the 15th of February. At the moment, the wind is not raging. That'll probably change in about 2 minutes. There is a huge amount of haze in the air right now from the wind that's been blowing the last day or two. Possible wind forecast today up to 45 miles an hour. Yeah, let's go do a walk around. It ain't for everybody out here, that's for sure. Off-grid experience. If you're ever thinking you'd like to move out to a place like this, what if you can come out and camp? Let's say you bring your own stuff. You got your little camper, RV, truck camper, small trailer, van, something like that. You live out here for a week or a month. You learn the ropes. See what it's like. You either love it and you want to stay, or you hate it and you just talk yourself out of buying property. There's value in that too. Now you didn't waste the time moving out here. Let me know if you're interested. Maybe we'll do something. I'll stop talking and we'll keep walking for a while. Okay, for reference, yonder house and bus. Okay. I've had a lot of people comment, oh, you should let people come out and camp on your property. But we're going to keep walking. I just want to show you the distances involved here. A lot of this side is pretty level. So it wouldn't take a lot of work to level off a spot to where somebody could bring a small RV or van camping or a pickup out here. I do not want to see somebody come out here with, their Prevost motor coach, which I can't imagine anybody with a Prevost would want to come out here anyway. But I don't think I would want to have to deal with somebody with a 40-foot, 50-foot fifth wheel trailer or a 40-foot motorhome. That just seems like a bad idea. These guys have been blooming for months. You just see them everywhere. It's just like this last year when I was gone on the bike trip, it was raining a lot more than normal. We probably got as much rain in 2022 as I've had in the 5 years I've been out here. Although the first year rained a lot. We just walked down this road and way in about the middle is the school bus and the house. Make a couple little roads and just pull a little, an RV pad down here, or campsite, whatever. There's no sense carving these out. What I don't want is a clear-cut piece of land, because then the wind comes and it blows dust everywhere, and the rain comes and it just washes everything away. That's what this did. Okay. You could drop a Volkswagen in there. I mean, it's not too bad now, but before he filled it, you literally could put a Volkswagen in there and drive right over top of it. So, leave as much vegetation as possible. But I came out here yesterday or the day before and I paced it from here to the opposite edge of my property is almost 100 feet here already. All right. So you could have a road go in, turn, come back out, and from here, this road faces due south, due north here. That's due east, right? So we could set it up that they could either angle to the sun, depending if it's summer or winter, right? We could have different spots to park. So you could face, have your front windows facing the sun if you wanted in a van. It would be nice. Warm it up in the morning, that kind of thing. But I realized, I could have somebody camping here and I'd be way over there. Yeah, you could kind of see them, but it's no worse than me seeing the guys on the other side, right? So I guess the question was, for anybody that's watching this, would anybody that had a truck camper or a van or a small travel trailer, especially one of the ones that was set up for going like off-road camping, because honestly the county road is pretty crappy, right? So I wouldn't want to see somebody come in here with, you know, something really fancy. But if we cleared a couple lines out of here, would anybody want to come out here camping just to see what the off-grid life was like? And what I started thinking is, you're going to have to drive down a 6-mile bumpy road, so nobody's going to want to come out here with something fancy anyway. I've had enough people say, oh, you should make a campsite, or, oh, let people come out and camp on your property, or, oh, can I come out and camp? And my first answer was always no, you know. Probably because I came out here on purpose because I don't want to deal with a lot of people. And I had the unfortunate experience of having managed an apartment building for, I don't know, about a year and a half, something like that. And I'm like, oh, I do not want to deal with that. But thinking about it, it's like, okay, if I cleared a spot and somebody came out here and parked, you come out here to get away from people, right? So all I got to do is find the people that are, one, willing to drive down a bumpy road, people that are used to off-road camping anyway, adventure people. And two, if I found somebody that was maybe interested, like me, what would it be like to live out here? Okay, well, you bring your rig out here. My costs are low. It probably wouldn't take a lot of effort to set up, just to basically clear a couple bushes out of the way, like I've done already. Now you got a spot to park your rig for a week. Okay, so I'm not likely to attract people off of the freeway that would have just been driving past and they're like, oh, there's a place to go camping for a day, you know. I mean, I could do that. But what would be more likely is if somebody wanted to come out for the experience and they could spend the whole week out here. Because you learn a lot the second and third day. You know, maybe the first day was perfect and the next day you get a sandstorm. You know, I could save somebody thousands of dollars by them learning they did not want to live out here. Maybe that's worth something, you know. If somebody wanted long-term, like a week or a month, you know, if I got $100 a month out of one or two people, right? And that's kind of what I started thinking, is like, okay, I'll set up one, test the waters. If somebody wants to camp, great, right? And if it turns out to be popular, I'll start clearing more. I've got room. And I could do them in the first 100 feet, and I've still got quite a bit of room on this side that wouldn't even get touched, but they'd be close enough to the road. Okay, and if you got a 4x4 pickup or a Jeep or something, or at least a decent vehicle, I mean, don't come out here with your car. Go slow on the road, you know, maybe it's something you could do. The other extreme, if somebody wanted to live out here long term, I don't know, $100 a month, something like that. Now, the thing is, this is going to be dry camping, no hookups, no services. This is literally the off-grid experience. There's no reason for your campsite to be better than how I live in the first place, right? If I put 5 RVs on this stretch of road, they'd all have a couple 100 feet between them. You know, vans or whatever. That'd be fine. So, options, right? That's all dry camping. No hookups. If somebody's here for a week, you know, they'd have to haul in water from Sierra Blanca, 15 miles from here, half of that's gravel. So you just try to set yourself up as good as you can. If I had long-term customers that were looking to stay here long-term, like, you know, 3 months or longer, the money coming in, then I could go get a water account and look for a vehicle to haul water on. Okay, so maybe that would be an option. I live off of rainwater, not everybody's into that. What's the phrase? There's no sacred cows. All right, if nothing is working, don't hang on to some idea that you didn't want to do. You know, everything's an option. So I started playing with this one night. Would anybody want to rent my house? Because nobody wanted to buy it, right? What I got to thinking, you know, if I had my chance to do it over again, I could probably see moving back into the bus. So I started playing with that idea. So I've got another 20 acres that's far enough away from here that you can't even see the house from on the other side. I mean, it's not so far away, but there's a hill. So you basically are back on your own again. If I worked this in stages, I could put the bus back together enough to drive it one last time, or at least tow it or something. It's still on its wheels. Take the time to do a bus conversion, which I never did before. So that would be insulate the walls, insulate the ceiling better. You know, they have some insulation, but not enough. Maybe build some partition walls in there so I could live in it easier. And then go get a couple shipping containers to store all the extra stuff that I am now storing in the house. Okay. So if I had 2 shipping containers and the bus and the little shop, I'd be completely set. That would leave the house empty. So then I could go through, and that's kind of the thing, is all of the rest of finishing the house I do not want to do when I'm still living in it. It would just be a terrible thing. So get my stuff out, empty the house, and then go back, finish the insides of the walls, put in drywall or whatever, finish insulating the back. It was half done, I just never finished it. We've got a 1,500-gallon water tank, and if somebody was going to rent, then they'd have an address. They can go get their own water account, and then they can haul water, and they're fine. Okay. Because I've done most of the work. The water tank is there. I could just redo the plumbing. I don't want to deal with renters, but if I could find somebody that was going to live in it for a while, I would just consider that not my house anymore. So, you know, it's like you put some renters in there, they're either really good or they just tear your house apart. And I have way too much experience seeing the bad renters. So in my mind, I would just flip the switch. I'm never going to live in that house again. You know, it wouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to go take some travel time. If I did move back into the bus that I already have and buy 1 or 2 shipping containers, then I would have the space to do what I should have done in the first place. That was the biggest problem. Then I could set myself up the way I want. That's the idea. I have no idea if anybody's interested in that, but it seemed like of all the things, that was for the people that don't have the money to come up with, you know, I needed $50,000 if I was going to leave. That was kind of it. When I said I wanted to sell the ranch, I was going to leave. I needed at least $25,000 up front so I can go get a decent van. And then I would have to deal with getting rid of all my stuff. I would have left most of the solar stuff set up because the house is wired already for it, right? So I was just going to start over, so I needed enough money to start over. If I can do it the other way, I'll still hold ownership of the property. I'll go live on the other half. And I can still do the things that I care about over there. And I'm not going to get rich on it, but at least I wouldn't be losing money. And I think, you know, once I'm set up to where I could live on my terms over there, and if this place just got completely destroyed, I don't care. You know, I just send it in for collections or whatever. Renter's insurance. Make sure they got renter's insurance. I don't know. That's just an idea. Now the wind's going to blow. But I don't care. I just kind of once in a while want to do a video of where things are and what things are doing and stuff. Last night, took a shower, well, yesterday afternoon, I guess. Out of that still works good. Heat the water in the pipe, circulate it with a small pump back into the trash can. Do that usually a couple times, and then I fill a bucket that's painted black, leave the bucket in the sun, and an hour later it's warm enough that I can shower without crying, it's good enough. Instead of wasting electricity heating water or burning propane. I just have an aversion to that. Yeah. 2 or 3 days ago, I happened to look out the window from the house, and right about here was a pretty good sized bobcat. Now, I can say pretty good size because that's the only one I've seen, but at first I thought it was a coyote. It was that big. So, yeah. I've got a little bit of video of it, which was pretty bad because I was shooting through the window, and I knew they existed, or there's been big cat sightings around here, but that's the first time I've seen one. I have seen tracks that I thought were coyote. And it's basically, I saw a website that says, okay, bobcats 25 to 45 pounds, coyotes 35 to 45 pounds. I'm thinking if this was the size of a coyote, it would have been in the 45 pound range. It was big. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was somewhere between terrified and scared and excited because it's like, if I saw that when I was out on a walk, I'd be nervous. I don't want to go against a 40-pound cat. But it seemed pretty scared of me as soon as it heard me. It was already moving away, and then I grabbed the camera and decided, all right, it was moving away, so I grabbed the door, got it as it ducked into the bush where I couldn't see it. And then the rest of the day I was kind of nervous, but looked it up on the internet for one of those times where the internet did work, and yeah, it's very unlikely it would attack me. I'm more likely to get killed by a golf ball, which out here is pretty rare also. Anyway, couple ideas I'm stewing here. These have been working well where they are. That feeds into what I'm calling my office power right now. So it's 150 watts and 150 watts, and these should be 100 each, but they're putting out about half power because that's the ones from the bike, and they're kind of beat up, so they don't last forever. So if you're going to invest money, I wouldn't invest in flexible unless you really needed lightweight flexible. They'll last a year probably, 2 if you mount them better than I did. So yeah, glass panels should last you 10 to 20 years probably. If you get really good ones, maybe even more than that. But honestly, by 10 years, unless you're looking for actual return on investment, after 10 years, the new ones are going to be better and probably cheaper. So I don't feel too bad about if they don't last, really. And these are the Harbor Freights. They're 5 years old and they're still putting out power. So not as much as they used to, probably. But these ones are all working. I've got 3 more that still work that I just didn't bother to set up, and 1 that works sometimes. So honestly, I don't have any hard failures out of four sets. I am probably not gonna, this was a thing, I put it out here to test the idea. It's really convenient and easy for me to walk out and undo it and move it, and it tracks the sun. I have to do it manually. I'm a little bit nervous about it with the wind. So I brought my little stool out here and a bungee and a couple rocks. When it gets really windy, I'm going to just pull it up flat against the windbreak here. We're shooting into the sun, sorry, but it's hinged right here, and I can swing it all the way back and use the bungee again and just tie it to the post, and then it doesn't really go anywhere. So that seems reasonably okay. And I've been talking about this in my head for a while. Everything I've done in the last 5 years has turned out to be wrong, or at least not as good as it could have been. But it was like, well, you had to do it to learn. And like, for instance, these panels, I wanted to put them there because that's the south side. That's where you're supposed to put them. But when I had my truck, those would have been in the way. I put them here now because I don't have the truck anymore. So this is okay. But when I was, especially like when I was going to build the house, I had moved them over here, knowing that they were going to get shadow first thing in the morning, but after that, they're fine. Okay. But I didn't want to put them here because when I'm building the house, I would have been dragging lumber through here, and I would have eventually backed the truck into them or dropped a board and hit it, or, Okay. Now that that's not a problem anymore, What I'm thinking, I call these the silver ones, and those are the big black ones over yonder. Both of those are from Houston Firefox. Thank you very much. What I'm thinking is I'll take, that's 4 panels. If I take 2 panels and put them on a post around, like maybe a galvanized fence post would probably work, and make a pivot, I can do the same idea as what I'm doing with the flex panels. So if I stand about here, the furthest, let's see, I've had people comment on this before. Sun rises to the east, that way is east. Okay, I set the bus aimed basically straight east. I'm within 5 degrees, good enough, okay. But straight east is kind of, it's where the sun should rise, but it doesn't always rise in exactly the same spot, and depending where you live, this will change. So, for a nice visual aid, I made my sundial. These 3 rocks, and the middle rock, and then those 3 rocks. If we look here at this rock and this rock, and we line it up, that's about due east. That's where the sun rises on equinox. Okay, so whatever that works out to, September and March. So we're getting closer to that. This morning, sunrise was about here. And I noticed that kind of thing because I have solar panels. When I was working and not having solar panels, I knew it was over there somewhere, but you don't really think about it. Okay. Now if I look at this rock, which is right there, yeah, that one right there, and I line up here, the sunrise December 21st in that time frame was way over here. So it's already moved this far since December. Okay. Off of this one to that one there on the edge of the shadow, which has been kicked over a few times. Sunrise will be way over here, and what's that, we got to about June 21st? Sunrise will be way over here. Okay, so remember this bump, it's going to be on this side of it, so it's somewhere around here. So it will move from here in June to March and September and December. It moves that much on the sunrise. And then we do the same thing for sunset. So December here, that's December sunset. And it's actually getting closer to this one already. So by March it'll be here, and these 3 bumps are about due west, pretty close. Okay, and then if I look at this one, and you can do the same thing in your house, walk out a few times a year and just make a note of where the sun sets. So it'll go from here to here. Quite a difference, okay? But if you just put your panels straight facing south and don't move them, you can still tilt them for the seasons. That makes a difference. But like in the winter now, if I aim them full south, that's a good compromise between sunrise and sunset. And the 4 hours around noon, so you figure 10 o'clock to noon to 2 o'clock, that's peak solar. So if you got the panels aimed at the south for those 4 hours, those 4 hours are worth more than the 2 hours before and the 2 hours after, because of the sun. Like today we got the haze. When the sun is at its highest, it's going straight down through the haze. When it's at its lowest, morning and evening, it's coming diagonally through the haze. Simple geometry or physics or whatever. You go through more haze, you lose more sun. Okay, so the thought is, if we remember where that hill was, okay, so we walk back and try not to trip. If I was way over here, I could easily see that. The furthest extreme, I'm calling it towards the north, because north is the opposite of south, so north is over there. So yes, the sun rises in the east, but it's pretty far to the north at the farthest extreme. But from here, I can see it. And then all the way to here, I don't have anything blocking me except for my finger. So I've covered the whole sunrise, every possibility. And then from then, it just goes all the way across, that way's west, and we got nothing on this side of us at all. So I don't have any trees or any bushes that are high enough. Okay. So worst case, I could put it here, but I'd like to tuck it into that side because I've got one of my trails running through here. So I'd rather just have the solar panels over here. So if I take out these two bushes, I would have nothing in the way. Here's where my water pipes were. If I wanted to put pipe for putting more tanks in, I could just hook a tank to that and hook it to my system, which I'm not really using right now. But so I was just thinking I'd put it about here, kind of look up and find that hill. If I put it here, I'd lose maybe 20 minutes first thing in the morning on the furthest north. After that, we'd have sun. As opposed to where they are there, it takes it an hour after sunrise right now for the sun to be high enough to get over the house. Okay. So if nothing else, if I just moved those silver panels from there to here and did nothing else, I'd be an hour more sun. Okay, so that's worth it because mornings is when I don't have any power. So I would have power an hour sooner. Okay, right now, this morning, the sun rose at 6:49. I'm up by 6:30 usually. So I'm waiting for the sun to come up to have enough power to do anything. Okay, so that's one of the projects that we're going to be doing. After having done these, and I see that it's working just fine, and I do get a benefit because those also used to be back here, and it was the same thing. I didn't have any power coming in. But doing the test with the flex panels, it's totally worth it for me a couple times a day to walk out and move them. I don't know, it's more like if I was going to do it every hour, it would be ideal. Later on, I'll probably motorize it and set it up with an automatic system that would just move it at the right time to follow the sun. Okay, but that's later. But just doing it manually isn't that big of a deal. So that was a worthwhile test, and I got to use the two panels that were from the bike that would have otherwise had no reason to be out here. You know, I mean, they put out power, but they're starting to get fragile, so it's like, I probably would have just put them away, but I figured it's a good test. Okay, so that's that. We split these in half, so take these two in one and then these two in another. Set them on a pipe that's between the two, so space them a little bit farther. Put one vertical pipe and then make a pivot joint that they can just sit there and spin. And then it'd be just a matter of loosening a bolt, sliding it, tightening it back down, or when we put the motor on it. And then the other half of it for the seasons, I've got a hole down here and a hole up at the top of the board. That'll get me up to spring and fall. I was looking at it, and I have, my power needs are probably less during the summer than they are during the winter. So there was another hole above that one. I cut the boards off because you can still see this shadow right here. The board being so long was casting a shadow, but it wasn't doing any good, right? And, you know, because I pivoted them up and down. The biggest ones, I'm just leaving them in that position for now. So that's more spring and fall position. And if I go up one more hole, that'll be for summer. I may never move those again because those are the heavy ones. It's just awkward. So I just kind of left them there, and it's good enough. You know, you always want to get them as good as you can, but you know, it's maybe not worth the effort kind of thing. All right. So what we would do on the pivot, I would still have an ability to adjust it up and down, but the main thing is every day they would go from, you know, they'd start in the east and they'd come across to the west, and then we'd move them back to the east the next day. Okay, so they'd move, say, 180 degrees every day and then come back again. Okay. So by putting them out here, but I was thinking if I copied, I'm just going to call it the gate idea. So you put them on a couple gate hinges, put a post in the ground, and then swing them around. Okay, that works, but that's 8 feet across. So I'd have an 8-foot sail pivoting from one side all the way out, and when I got 30 or 40 mile an hour winds, that's significant. Okay, I would eventually start breaking stuff. I think I could overcome it, and what I'm finding is those don't really move. I don't have any trouble with those moving because they're anchored to the ground. So as long as they don't move, they're fine. But if you make it movable and flexible, that's when you have a problem. So, as a compromise, by making it half as big, that's the same size as the one that I'm already testing, that seems manageable. If I pivot it in the middle, the forces should balance. So the force on the left side that's trying to push it further left is going to be balanced by the force on the right side because it's equal. So it shouldn't have a lot of torque. It'll just want to tip over, but it won't twist. Seems legit. I haven't tested that very much yet. But if I can make that work, the pivoting in the middle should work at least as well. And then if it gets really hairy, I can put something on the edge on each side. And what I'm thinking is, go get some buckets, fill them with rocks, tie them on a string or, a rope or something, and just pick up the rock, move it, put it to the new position, and that'll stabilize it. That little stool is working just fine with a couple rocks on it, so that's already been up to 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it's been fine. So, don't overthink it kind of thing. All right, that's basically it for that. The other thing, thank you very much. A few people have chipped in and helped send some money, and then I had some Christmas money, so I'm going to go buy at least one more lithium battery and possibly two, that plus the one I've got. I'll just get the same ones. It would be ideal to buy them all at the same time, but that's unrealistic right now to go buy 4 brand new ones, so I'm going to get 2 new ones, and then I'll be a lot better off than I was. The reason I really wanted to get 4 at the same time was for the trike, which is still going to happen. But what I'm thinking for right now, I've got 4 bicycle batteries that would also work. I don't know how far they'll work, but they'll at least get me a starting point, and I still have to get the wheels and then finish building some stuff. But I don't need 4 new batteries right now to start testing. So if I get 2, everything will work better. Okay. It ain't for everybody out here, that's for sure. Off-grid experience. If you're ever thinking you'd like to move out to a place like this, what if you can come out and camp? Let's say you bring your own stuff. You got your little camper, RV, truck camper, small trailer, van, something like that. You live out here for a week or a month. You learn the ropes. See what it's like. You either love it and you want to stay, or you hate it and you just talk yourself out of buying property. There's value in that too. Now you didn't waste the time moving out here. Let me know if you're interested. Maybe we'll do something. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.